שהאיש אשר הולך ועצץ רשעים, ובדרך חטאים לא יעמוד, ובמושב לצים לא ישב, כי אם דרס אדוני חפצו, ושרסו יהגה יומם ולילה, והיה כעץ שסול על פלגי מוים, אשר פריו ייתן בעיתו ועולהו לא ייבול, וכל אשר יעשה יצליח, לא כן הרשעים קים כמוס אשר תדפן הרוח, על כן לא יקומו רשעים במשפט וחטאים בעדס צדיקים, כי יודע אדוני דרך צדיקים ודרך רשעים תאבד. We're here today to pay our respects to a very special individual, beloved husband, father, grandfather, and great-grandfather, Usher Aryeh ben Ephraim, Olav Shalom. I've often commented that when we come to a funeral of an individual of this caliber, we forget in our community today. We live in a community which is established and has so many things going for it, but there was a period of time when we didn't have all the things that we have today. And it was people like Usher, Olav Shalom, who worked so hard, who were pioneers and involved in so many institutions, Young Israel, Mizrahi, Hebrew Academy, Menorah Park, Jewish Federation, Bureau, Foundation, on and on and on. Not only as a volunteer, but as a leader. He did so many things for our community. Today we reap the benefits, and the new generation coming to town doesn't even appreciate and recognize these special individuals who did so much for our flourishing community. I knew Usher already as he was closer to retirement. Maybe his eyesight wasn't quite the same, slowed down a little bit, but his determination, his will to live was very strong. Even in his last days in the hospital, you could see how he was so strong in fighting to be able to remain alive. Usher had many qualities. I'd like to focus on one in particular that I think very much fits in with a theme in this week's Parsha, Parshas Beshalach. Parshas Beshalach, as we know, is read this Shabbos, and we call it Shabbos Shira, the Shabbos of a song. And it's so interesting that we don't call next week's Parsha, Parshas Yisro, when the Ten Commandments, when the Torah was given, we don't call it Shabbos Torah, yet we call Shabbos Shira, Shabbos Shira, a special name. I'll share with you a beautiful insight that I think really fits in so beautifully into Usher's life. The word Shira really is possibly connected to the word Yashar, straight. And why do I say this Parsha is a Parsha of straight? Think about, follow the narrative, follow the story that takes place in this week's Parsha, the ups and downs of the Jewish people. Klal Yisrael comes out of Mitzrayim, obviously on an up, Biyad Ramah, and then the next thing they know, they're standing with their backs to the sea, not knowing what's going to happen. Then, of course, you have the great miracle of Kriyas Yamsuf, an up. A little while later, nothing to drink, a down. Kadosh Baruch Hu turns the bitter water to sweet water, an up. The next complaint, no food, a down. Kadosh Baruch Hu gives them the man, an up. And then, all of a sudden, Amalek attacks. Up and down, and up and down, and up and down. Seems to be, we're following, really watching the Jewish people. But that's really what we're all about. Klal Yisrael has always been through ups and downs and ups and downs. So that's why calling us Yashir, calling the Parsha the week of Shabbos Shira is very appropriate, because it's Yashar. It's watching the lives of the Jewish people. We have our ups and we have our downs. Usher had his ups and downs, but he always remained a Yashar. He always remained straight, committed, came with a sense of honesty, with a sense of integrity. When he told you something, he told you what he felt. And if he told you he was going to do something, he did it. A man who was Yashar. His life was really like the Parsha. The ups and downs of Klal Yisrael, the ups and downs of our lives, ups and downs of what it is to be a Jew. But ultimately, it's Yashar. It's straightness. It's with a sense of conviction and a sense of dedication and a sense of love. But probably most importantly was a very special connection that he had to his family, to his beautiful family, to his dear wife, children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. And I think that could be connected to another special occasion that we celebrate this Shabbos. This Shabbos is not only known as Parshas Shabbos Shira, but it's also Tu B'Shvat. Tu B'Shvat is what we call the Rosh Hashanah Le'ilanos. It's the Rosh Hashanah for new trees. So share with you something that I think is a little ironic. On Tu B'Shvat, which is the Rosh Hashanah for trees, what do? We eat fruit. get fruit from Eretz Yisrael. We eat all kinds of fruit over the course of Tu B'Shvat. There's another holiday in the year, a holiday of Shavuos, which is called the Rosh Hashanah Leperos. It's the Rosh Hashanah for fruits of the tree. And how do we celebrate that? Flowers, trees. Maybe we don't do trees anymore, but flowers. Isn't it interesting? The holiday that celebrates the Rosh Hashanah of trees, we eat fruit, like this coming Shabbos. The holiday that commemorates the fact that is the Rosh Hashanah for fruit, we put trees, we put flowers out. It seems to be opposites of each other. And the answer, in a sense, is they complement each other. You really ultimately want to appreciate the success of the tree, you look at its fruit. And if you want to see the success of the fruit, where it comes from, you look back to its source, which is the tree. So on the one hand, on Shavuos, which is the Rosh Hashanah, the Mishnah tells us in Rosh Hashanah, it's the Rosh Hashanah for Peres HaElon, then we take the trees. We remind ourselves, where did the fruit come from? They come from the tree. On the other hand, when we're talking on the Yontif of Tu B'Shvat, where we're talking about the tree, now we focus on the peros, the fruits of their labors. And I think it's so appropriate. Usher was so strongly connected to his family, has tremendous love that he had for his family, and that love was reciprocated by his family to him. I can say in all honesty that Litris, you can look at the family that you created with unbelievable nachas. You and Usher built a beautiful, beautiful family. A family that you have wonderful nachas from Yirtz Hashem. You continue having nachas for many years to come. But that's ultimately you and Usher as the trees, as the foundation, as the source that gave you the beautiful nachas of all those beautiful peros ha'ilon, of all those fruit. On the other hand, your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, they, as the peros, have to look back to their source and see where did they learn. Where did they learn how to be dedicated, how to be committed, how to learn how to love people, how to learn to love Klal Yisrael, how to love HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That comes from their source. That comes from you, Litris, Yibadol L'chaim, and from your very special husband, from Usher Alav Shalom. So we come here today to remember someone who to some people maybe in this community, maybe I imagine everyone in the room knew him, but maybe some people who really didn't know Usher, didn't know him in his prime, in the years when he was so involved and did so much to help build the beautiful, strong, vibrant community that we have today. A pioneer, someone who worked so hard to build the community that we have. But most importantly, look at the beautiful family that he built with a sense of commitment, a sense of achrayas, a sense of responsibility, and a sense of love and a sense of commitment. I'd like to take a moment to read you a very beautiful message written by one of his children, by Mrs. Linda Ben Susan. I just want to comment, all the children were very special and are always there, but I can tell you over the last few weeks, while Usher was declining, I don't know that there were more than a few seconds or moments that maybe Linda wasn't by his side, literally day and night, 24/7. Unbelievable Mesiras Nefesh. I learned a lesson in Kivat Abba Aim just watching how she conducted herself in her true love and dedication to her father. It is with deep hakaras hatov to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that I have been blessed as the daughter of Avi Murray, Rav Usher Aryeh ben Ephraim Olav Shalom, and Imi Marasi, Litris Rabinsky, La'acher Yomim Tovim. Daddy, you have been involved in all of our lives. You taught us the importance of family, offering advice, babysitting, attending every Chumash and Siddur party. We're sandik at many brisim, and we're zocha to walk us to the chuppah as you provided us with a wonderful home steeped in the Orthodox tradition. You inculcated us a love for Am Yisrael, Torah Yisrael, and Eretz Yisrael, a love of the people, Torah, and the land of Israel. Usher was a true religious Zionist. Symbolic of your devotion to all of us, when most people were leaving Israel during the Gulf War, you, Daddy, got on a plane, landed in Israel, donned a gas mask, and shuttled between Petach Tikva and Hadera to be with your grandchildren. Your love for Israel knew no bounds, as you longingly prepared for your trips each year. At a young age, we all learned by example, in a place where there is no man, you must try to be a man. Through your actions, you have changed many worlds and taught us the essence of Torah and Judaism is first and foremost in our lives. You taught us by example the essence of Masim Tovim, good deeds. You have always taught us to look deeply into ourselves and to draw on the unique strengths and talents that Hashem has given us, to believe in ourselves and to grow in self-confidence. Once this was achieved, the world was ours. You have been involved communally in leadership roles as well as privately helping those in need. In reflecting upon the blessing of having parents who have thankfully achieved arichas yamim, longevity, we are reminded of the commandment and honor your father and mother so that the days of your life will be lengthened. You respectfully and tentatively cared for Grandma Esther and Grandpa Frank, your parents. You always afforded them comfort and love when they needed you most. How fortunate for the past 35 years I've been able to work together with you daily in your business as your secretary. Your sterling reputation both in the Jewish and secular business worlds always preceded you. Each morning when I awake and each evening before I go to sleep, I thank the Almighty for having been chosen to be your daughter. I will continue to draw on your strengths. I would cherish the time I was able to spend together with you to seek your advice and benefit from your wisdom. I would bask in your love and celebrate each day with you as a gift from Hashem. In Pirkei Avos it states, there are 3 crowns bestowed to this world: Keser Kahuna, Keser Malchus, the Keser Shem Tov, the Keser Shem Tov Ola Al Kulam. The crown of priesthood, the crown of royalty, and the crown of good name, and the crown of good name rises above them all. How could the crown of a good name be more worthy than the crown of the priesthood or royalty? The answer is that the crowns of priesthood and royalty are bestowed, and the crown of a good name is earned. Daddy, through your midos, communal leadership roles, sterling reputation, and deep-rooted love and pride of our family, your Keser Shem Tov has been earned. We are grateful to the Almighty for all of His chasadim, for having blessed you with 91 wonderful years together with Mommy, of whom you were always so proud and with whom you built a Bayis Ne'eman B'Yisrael. We carry your love and your lessons in our heart, Daddy, through your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. We miss you terribly. As it says in Tehillim, Nafsho b'chayev yivorach, your soul is blessed by the deeds of your life. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu receive your neshama, Daddy, together with all that you have achieved in your lifetime, and may it serve as a blessing for us all. Very beautiful. I'd like to ask Lichis if he'll share some words with us.
Dear friends, I am so proud of having been blessed to be the wife of dear Usher, and also so proud of our remarkable children, Linda, the eldest, Rena, next, Mark, next, and David, the youngest. And of our remarkable grandchildren, B'liai and Hara, and the great-grandchildren. I cannot tell you what it meant to have each of them come from places that are distant and places that are near, to be with Usher during the time when he was suffering the most, close to the very end. What Usher has done is to leave us a remarkable legacy. It is a legacy of honesty, of integrity, but most of all, a devotion to God and to Torah. And a legacy that means that one should always do what one feels is the most correct thing to do. There are several examples of this. One that I had mentioned in a talk at the Hebrew Academy some years ago, the lesson of the tefillin. When my colleague Gert Mann and our blessed friend Bertha Lautman of blessed memory were walking with our 22 children in the miserable cold winter through Auschwitz. There was not another soul there. It was bitterly cold. And we couldn't understand what 2 of the workmen were saying as they called in Polish, and it was Bertha who was the only one who understood them, to come closer, come closer. And they handed her some pieces of rolled up paper. And we gave them a few dollars when they told us they were cleaning out the barracks and they found them beneath the wall, stuck in an opening where they couldn't believe there had been something, and they placed their hand and they found these. And of course we paid them for it, a few dollars. They were very grateful. And when we looked at them, they were parshiot of tefillin. And we thought, oh my goodness, this was a lesson that was unbelievable for our students. We didn't know what happened to the individual. Did that person live? Was that person murdered? Did that person survive in some place? But we realized that whoever had kissed those parshiot, who had touched them, gave them a sense of strength to go through the terror of what they were going through. When I brought them home, Usher said, we have to take them to see if they are kosher or not. And there were 2 parshiot we found in Eretz Yisrael. We went to authorities who said this one doesn't even have a crease or a wrinkle or a smudge. There is not a mark on it. It is kosher. The other one was not. And this is what Usher took to heart. He had it made into tefillin for himself. And he said, what someone sacrificed for this, God has given me the blessing to daven with this. And Usher, who davened every day with talis and tefillin, until he was able to do it, davened with those tefillin from Auschwitz. He was connected to with love and devotion to his parents. When his father was extremely ill, Usher would not allow any caregiver to come in to touch his father, to bring him food that his mother made for him, to wipe his face, to comb his hair, to talk to him, to learn with him. It was a devotion that was unblemished by anything that was personal or sacrificial. He did it with love. But I want to tell you a sacrifice that he made. Usher was a smoker. He started smoking when he was 14 years old in 9th grade. He smoked for many decades, but when we got married, I was not a smoker. And I said, you can do whatever you want outside of the house, but there's no smoking in our home. And he listened. But he was smoking because of the anxiety of caring for his father. And they spoke to each other. Usher spoke a perfect Yiddish. And his father said, to vermacht the cigarette. And at that moment, Usher put out a cigarette that he had smoked for more than 3.5 decades and never touched cigarettes again. For those who are smokers, they can understand what must have been his agony. But this is what he did for his father. And then, as Linda briefly referred to, the Gulf War of 1991, the terror of the children who had to put on gas masks. And Usher said, Leatrice, we have half of our family in Israel. You stay home with our children. I'm leaving, and I made plane reservations, and I'm leaving tomorrow, God willing. I have to be with our children in Israel. And there were some of the younger ones, Hadass, who is now a mother of 11 children, B'liayin Hara. She was a teeny little girl, and she didn't want to put on that gas mask over her face. And Usher held her in his arms, and he sang to her, and he held the gas mask, and he said, Grandpa is here, Grandpa is here, I'm holding you. And he went from child to child. He bought food for them, and he gave them the strength that they needed to survive that ordeal. Usher also felt during the time of World War II that his place was to be in the army. His father said, "No, I'm going to send you away. You're going to study in the yeshiva. There's no reason for you to go. Your mommy and I are going to worry and worry." And that was the only time he stood up to his parents and he said, "God was good to my parents and to my grandparents by allowing them to come to this free country and to live in peace and not to be harassed and not to be shuttered and not to be taken to ghettos. And I am going to go and give back." He volunteered with his closest friend, the late Howie Bram, whom you knew was director of Menorah Park for more than 37 years. And they volunteered to the army. And Usher was sent overseas. He was 18 and a half years old. He had already finished 1 year of college at Case Western Reserve. During that period of time, he was sent to the Battle of the Bulge. It was not Patton's army that was in, it was another general. Usher was shot in the hip and taken from the front to a hospital in Paris. And he said there were no men around in Paris. All of them were in the war. And it was in a Paris that took care of him. And when he was sewn up after his surgery, and he spent 2 weeks, they sent him back to the front. And Usher survived beautifully during that period of time. And even his heartbroken parents, I did not meet him until he came home after the war. He said, "This country has been so good to the Jews, has been so good to everybody. Anybody who comes to the United States has a sense of freedom and security. And I am giving back, and I gave back." And so I would like to tell you that Usher, who volunteered and served on 11 boards of organizations in the community, from the Jewish Community Federation to the Religious Zionists of America, to Yabi, Yeshiva Sadas. He was an active member who gave freely of his time. He left this legacy of love and service and devotion, and he left us a message of total honesty. He said that if a worker works, do not put off giving his salary. And what he earns, you pay him what he earns. And if he did a wonderful job, you give him extra to show how much you appreciate what good workmanship is. Usher loved Eretz Yisrael with a passion. And so when our children were able to go to summer camps, he was a religious Zionist. I was a religious Zionist, even though I came from a family where my late father, of blessed memory, was a leading officer in the Agudas Yisrael, which was not a Zionist organization, but we gave our children this sense of love for Eretz Yisrael. And so half of our family lives there, half throughout the United States. And I must share with you that when Usher began to suffer in these last times, everybody came in. Those who were with him should be blessed. Those who sent their love to him should be blessed. Those who lived to carry on his legacy of honesty, of devotion, of love for parents and grandparents, of love for Hashem, of love for Torah, of love for learning, of love and gratitude that God gives us years to live. May they all inherit what I feel so blessed to have shared with my husband for 69 and a half years. And I say, thank God for all that he has given us.
Please rise to Kel Malei Rachamim. El Malei Rachamim, Shoichein Bameromim, Hametzei Menucha Nechoina, Al Kanpei HaShechina, B'ma'alos Kedoshim Etorim Kezorah Ki HaMasirim, Es Nishmas Rav Asher Aryeh Ben Ephraim, Shehalach Li'olamo, Bavur Shanachti Mispalu Lim Yad Azkaras Nishmaso, B'gan Eden Tehei Menuchaso, Lochein Bal HaRachamim, Yasireu B'Seisur Kenafav Li'olamim, B'Yitzror HaChayim Es Nishmaso, Adonai hu nachalaso, Yanuach v'shalom al mishkavo, v'nomar, Amen. You may be seated. The Kvur will be at the Young Israel section of Zion Memorial Park. The Shiva will be observed at the Rabinsky home, 3848 Shannon Road in Cleveland Heights, the last house on the corner of Shannon Road. The times for Minyanim will be Mincha Ma'ariv starting this evening at 5:40 p.m. through Monday night. Shachris will be 7:30 a.m. Today, tomorrow, Friday, and Monday and Tuesday, and Sunday morning at 8 a.m. There are no set hours for the Shiva, just the family asks that please people should not come past 10 p.m.